Folks, let me tell you about my good friend Todd Nettleton from The Voice of the Martyrs. For over 2 decades, Todd has risked his life to bring it.
Welcome back. We're reacting to Charlie Kirk. We'll react to 2 videos. This is Charlie Kirk going to Cambridge. We'll react to the professor one and we'll react to the student one. Hopefully nothing is cut out. But let's dive right into it.
Thank you. Israel. Marvelous. Thank you. A very, very short question. Israel versus Hamas. Good guy versus bad guy. Russia versus Ukraine. Who's the good guy and who's the bad guy?
Both are bad. One is worse.
Which way round?
Russia is worse than Ukraine.
Okay, so why haven't we pursued that?
What do you mean?
Well, it seems to me that in the whole of the current US proposition, that Ukraine is being the bad guy.
In what way? We funded Ukraine upwards to $200 billion.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure he's referring to the recent rhetoric where it seems like it's much more positive and pro-Russia, especially from the Trump administration. Don't be disingenuous, Charlie, but continue.
But
We just signed a mineral deal with Ukraine, not Russia.
yeah, but you are expecting Ukraine to give up 20% of its territory to someone who invaded it.
Well, is Crimea part of Russia or Ukraine?
Ukraine.
That's where we don't agree.
Well, I'm afraid that's part of international treaty. That's not up for grabs.
Well, it's interesting. I mean,
that's
hold on.
Hey, I don't like Charlie Kirk at all. But I respect him in going into the Lions Den and having a debate. I will always respect people who are willing to do that. I'll respect the fact that they're willing to go into that environment. Now, I'll just leave it at that. I'll respect it.
Even Zelensky has said he's willing to give up Ukraine.
No. America signed the agreement that gave Ukraine Crimea.
Right.
When the Soviet Union ended.
Right. It was done. First of all, it never should have been done. It was largely ceremonial.
No.
But however, it was annexed under Obama. Yes, and it was a mistake. And it should be given back to Russia as a sign of good gesture to end this conflict. Okay. But who's currently controlling Crimea? Where was the Russian Navy headquartered in World War II? Where was the end of World War II signed? This is very important.
I'm not doubting that. I'm just saying that if we're being logical on what has happened, that you are now arguing against that flow. And I don't understand it. Because actually, why is Ukraine the bad guy?
No, I said they're bad. They're not the bad guy.
Yeah, well, you said they were both bad, but one was more bad.
Correct, yes.
So why is Ukraine bad?
There's a lot wrong with Ukraine. First of all, they're not a democracy. Zelensky refuses to hold an election.
Well, no, he can't.
Yeah, he's about to. I don't need to say it. He's about to say exactly what I was about to say, but.
Hold an election.
Oh, wait, did Churchill hold an election during the war?
Because under his constitution...
Hold on, Lincoln held an election during the war. That's not true. He can call an election. He can call a snap election. He's full dictator of the country.
No.
Because he knows that the people of Ukraine would kick him out immediately because he's deeply unpopular. In fact, if he wanted to show a statement to the world, he would call an election and win by 80% and say, see, I'm super popular. So that's number one. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with a person being propped up as a government we're sending $200 billion to that refuses even to face his voters.
This is a fake issue.
I can't agree with you actually on that at all.
Okay.
I mean, constitutionally, Ukraine is not able to hold an election because it's under military law at the moment, and that's just a matter of fact.
Again, he can,
just because you're comparing it to the United States does not change the foundations of what Ukraine was built on, right? So your only case is antagonistic to the principles behind what Ukraine does under military law. So you're mad that he's not doing what the United States is doing, so that makes him bad. That's a stupid point to make, I'm being honest.
Prime minister or president, he could do whatever he wants.
He can't.
Okay,
He
we're going to just go back
sign
and
an
forth
executive order and change their constitution
Okay.
Neither can the American president either. So hopefully there's a bit of...
He could even do a ceremonial election to see where he actually stands with the people.
I think we call those...
Why? This is a terrible reason not. I feel like Charlie Kirk, because the MAGA brain rot is disgusting, is that they are finding reasons to hate Ukraine because they know for a fact that Trump administration is biased towards Russia. And this reason is a terrible one.
Those opinion polls.
Yes, and they're very negative.
Firmly ahead in the opinion.
Again, but you would agree that a person that holds on to power without the election of the sovereign is pretty questionable.
No, not in those circumstances.
Okay, then we disagree.
No, okay, that's fine. That's fine. But give me another reason why you...
They are the most corrupt country in Europe that never even met the most remote standards of joining NATO. Do not know where a lot of this money is going.
I don't disagree that there is a problem with corruption, but the most corrupt country in Europe, are you sure about that?
I'd have to think, I'd have to double or triple think about that, but they're very corrupt.
Okay, so that's a little bit doubtful. It's not absolute.
Well, I mean, well,
would you... There's plenty of corruption around. I mean, let's face it, we are talking about comparison with some of the states you're doing business with in the Gulf.
Oh, of course, but we're not giving them money, they're giving us money. That's the difference, right? Saudi Arabia is...
Oh, so it's fine.
Well, hold on a second.
It's morally acceptable to take money from corrupt people.
Well, hold on. First of all, as far as morally acceptable, you do what's best in the benefit of your country. And so, for example, we were allied with Russia during the Second World War, and I'm glad we were. And I would ask you,
don't forget,
how much money is too much money to send to Ukraine? We're at 200 billion right now.
I don't think you have to send any more money to Ukraine.
We agree.
I think you have to agree to support them as a free country and perhaps sell them weapons, like you're very happy to sell weapons to less free countries. And I think Europe will pick up the slack, as we ought to. And I don't disagree with some of the comments about Europe not looking after its own security. I just don't get this approach, which was supposedly to end the war quickly, which now seems to be elongating it. And in doing so, throwing up a smokescreen of very variable facts, if they are facts at all, about how things occurred, which actually isn't helping things. And if people can't see that Putin is stalling, I'm just...
I agree with you. I think he might be stalling.
And therefore, and I think even your president has acknowledged the fact that he thinks he might be stalling.
That's correct. So we don't have a disagreement there.
No, we don't. No,
we just have a disagreement about the efficacy of tactics. And we don't know. And I'm willing to say we could be wrong.
No. Oh, well,
of course you could be wrong in life.
Yeah.
I mean,
we could all be wrong.
No.
But actually bringing that war to an end consistently actually isn't going very well. And I would just suggest to you that whatever tactics have been used are perhaps not the best. And they are certainly inconsistent with what's going on in the Middle East and how America has been treating parties in the Middle East.
That's all. I feel like there's more to this debate. That didn't satisfy me. I don't know where to find the rest of the debate, but I mean, okay, all right, that's kind of shady to me. Let's watch the other one. I mean, I think in this one, there's really not much to gain from this one, but I do think it's kind of weird that it ended. Maybe it was this short. Let me see how it ends.
I've had enough of your time.
Fair. No, that's a fair contention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Okay, it was short. Okay, it looked like the full debate. It was short. Really not much to gain from that one. So I'm not going to come at Charlie that he's trying to edit it down. So I'm glad I finished it. Overall, Charlie didn't really say anything. He kind of adhered to his points. And then his only point about Ukraine being bad was trash. So let's see what this one entails.
If you care about faith, family, and freedom, listen up. I'm proud to partner with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. While AARP pushes a woke agenda.
The woke agenda, man. So this went pretty viral as well. Charlie versus a student this time. And he says he took down this student.
Good evening, Mr. Kirk. You've obviously devoted a lot of your life to electing, keeping in power Donald Trump, And you did so partly because you said Trump would put Americans first and take them out of foreign conflicts. Shall we see how that is going at the moment? Currently, Trump has just accepted a $400 million debt from Qatar, which we're assured is perfectly above board. Billions in arms are going to Saudi Arabia, which they're using to bomb and starve Yemeni children. Not sure how that's in the interest of the United States, but it might be in the interest of the $5.5 billion deal his failed sons are receiving. At the same time, this great president of peace has greenlit mass killings, not just in Yemen, but in Gaza, where he greenlit an invasion called Operation Gideon's Chariot, with the express aim of wiping out the Gazan population. You promised to put America first. Haven't you and your ilk sold America out?
No.
Well, I'm glad you have great intellectual substance and can answer. Because it's all the culture wars for you, isn't it? The second someone actually tells you what you're doing, which is red.
Can you calm down a little bit? Like, just a little bit? Pounding the table, you're all over the place. No. You want me to go piece by piece? Or would you like me to talk slower?
I think you can.
Number one, you haven't said anything. Why would you have to talk slower?
Joe Biden gave
that's going well, isn't it?
Why are we playing weird games? Just talk. What? This kid maybe should relax, but I don't know. Or
no. You want me to go piece by piece? Or would you like me to talk slower?
I think you can.
Number one, Donald Trump is convening a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. Joe Biden gave them armaments.
That's going well, isn't it?
It's going well. Can you not interrupt me? Well. I allowed you to talk uninterrupted.
You're famous for not interrupting.
I haven't interrupted a single person here today. Can I speak uninterrupted, actually? Okay. He is convening a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. I believe we will see an end to that war. Number two,
he's been doing this for a long time now, so that didn't enforce your point. Continue.
Actually talking to Iran and discouraging Israel to strike the interior of Iran, and has stopped many other international countries to do the same. Number three.
No, he didn't. You just threw that in there. He's talking to Iran. None of it's going well. I don't know. Oh, he's talking to Iran. So Iran does not agree to any of Trump's terms. So that's not really anything. And Israel is very pissed that you're talking to Iran. So that's not solving anything. So, and all these other international conflicts that he stopped. Maybe the one I'll give you is India and Pakistan. Now, I don't know the efficacy of like what actually happened, but that did stop with the United States help. So I'll give you that one. But we don't gotta lie. You got a W with India and Pakistan. So I mean,
can you give him credit for ending the Indian-Pakistan war?
Man, I'm a genius. I knew exactly which one he was going to bring up. The other ones was fluff that didn't actually mean anything. This one is actually something that I do think you have to give credit.
Both of them said he didn't do that.
Is it time to fact check? Hold on.
Well, hold on a second.
Let's go back.
No, that's important.
Russia, Ukraine.
Hold on, that's important.
Can I?
All right, time to look this stuff up. You love the fact check, man.
Yes, but the Indian-Pakistan thing, you got to go deeper than that.
Let's go in order. Is a peace summit Russia doesn't show up? Is that a success, Mr. Kirk?
I'm not even sure.
Not a success.
Well, again, these are ongoing negotiations. And it's a lot better than when your prime minister, Boris Johnson, went alongside.
It's not a success. I'm going to answer real quickly for him. Did Trump broker a ceasefire deal between India and Pakistan? Let's read an article, shall we? That's what's great about videos. You can read it. You can read articles. I'm also playing Madden because sometimes these content creators be boring me. All right. What happened here? Why am I looking at shoes? What the? Why am I looking at shoes? What are you trying to sell me? All right. India and Pakistan have agreed to a ceasefire after Islamabad reached out to New Delhi. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri confirmed on Saturday evening. What? These ads killing me. All right, I'm using the Giants. I'm playing against the Chiefs. I'm just being a demon. This came after United States President Donald Trump declared a Truth Social that nuclear-armed neighbors have agreed to a full and immediate ceasefire. He wrote, after a long night of talks mediated by the United States. All right, I'm just going to exit because I have to pay attention, so I'm going to exit out of this game. All right, why you keep on giving me ads on women's shoes? After a long night of talks mediated by the United States, I am pleased to announce that India and Pakistan have agreed to a full and immediate ceasefire. Congratulations on both countries and using common sense and great intelligence, blah, 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 blah. But how did it actually go down? We'll take a look. All right. Where's the article? Oh, here we go. I was about to say, yo, ads be on ads, be on ads. Jesus. Okay. Jesus Christ. They are making their money off of me. Where's the article? Oh, here, read more. There we go. I was about to crash out. I'm like, bro. India and Pakistan confirmed a ceasefire shortly after Trump's post. Both countries decided to stop firing. Called up India. Pakistan leader called up India. They agreed that both sides will stop all firing and military action from land, air, and sea from 5 p.m. onwards. He further added that DGMOs will talk again at noon on May 12th. External Affairs Ministry took to X and wrote, India and Pakistan have today worked out an understanding of stoppage of firing and military action. India has consistently maintained a firm and uncompromising stance against terrorism in all forms and manifestations. Continue to do so, he added. Pakistan Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Ishtar said, Pakistan and India have agreed to a ceasefire with immediate effect. Pakistan has always strived for peace and security in the region without compromising on its sovereignty and territorial integrity. After the two sides made it official, Indian Navy Commodore Raghu Nair, in a press briefing, said that while the Indian Army, the Indian Navy, and Indian Air Force would adhere to a ceasefire deal, adding that the armed forces remain vigilant to retain the sovereignty of India, we remain prepared to launch what is necessary for the defense of our nation. Following Trump's announcement on Truth Social, Marco Rubio posted, over the past 48 hours, Vice President J.D. Vance and I have engaged with senior Indian and Pakistani officials, including prime ministers. So Donald Trump had nothing to do with this. It was all Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, he picked them, but I'm not giving him credit. I'm pleased to announce the governments of India and Pakistan have agreed to an immediate ceasefire and to start talks on a broad set of issues at a neutral site. We commend Prime Minister's prudence and statesmanship, blah, blah. Welcome to de-escalation. It was in everybody's interest. Today's ceasefire between India and Pakistan is hugely welcomed. I urge both parties to stay in this. De-escalation is in everybody's interest, he wrote on X. After 4 days of cross-border attacks, India and Pakistan have agreed to de-escalate. This comes after the blah, 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 not to carry out further strikes. The U.S. rule is to keep both sides engaged. So the Indian DGMO got a call from Pakistani counterpart around 3:30 p.m. On the day of whenever this was written. During the calls, Islamabad assured not to carry out further strikes. They added that the U.S. role was to keep both sides engaged. Earlier in the day, he spoke to Rubio on the phone, pointing out that India's approach has always been measured and responsible. Rubio, who also spoke to blah, 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 offered assistance in starting constructive talks in order to avoid future conflicts. The U.S. Secretary of State also told blah, blah, and his deputy, before the ceasefire was announced, India decided it would treat any future terror attack as an act of war. This during the escalation, blah, blah. Prime Minister from Pakistan thanked Trump for his leadership and proactive role for peace in the region. Well, there you go. He thanked them, so I think you kind of have to give Trump credit, right? Pakistani appreciates the United States for facilitating this outcome, which we have accepted in the interest of regional peace and stability. Direct communication. He also pointed out the UK was also involved in finding a resolution. So the UK was also involved in finding a resolution. Saudi Arabia engaged with both India and Pakistan to reduce tensions. Saudi Arabia was also involved. During the blah, 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 he said in a statement, kingdom's commitment to regional security, blah, blah. Soon after ceasefire, Pakistan reopened its airspace. Rubio said the two sides will discuss a broad set. However, government officials, there's no decision to hold talks on any further. So basically, to summarize it real quickly, is that the United States was involved. Trump even got a congratulations. I'm sure Marco Rubio or J.D. Vance told him, you got to congratulate Trump so it looks good. Saudi Arabia was involved, and the UK was also involved. All right. I got what I needed from that. Let's continue.
Our Secretary of State, Tony Blinken, to Istanbul and unnecessarily blew up a potential Russian peace deal, which has resulted in hundreds of thousands of dead Ukrainians, one of the great unnecessary wars of the modern era.
All right, let's go back. I don't know exactly what they're...
Again, these are ongoing negotiations, and it's a lot better than when your Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, went alongside our Secretary of State, Tony Blinken, to Istanbul and unnecessarily blew up a potential Russian peace deal, which has resulted in hundreds of thousands of dead Ukrainians, one of the great unnecessary wars of the modern era. Donald Trump believes in conversation and police through strength. He has been president for well over 120 to 130 days, and he has already ended a war between two nuclear conflicts of India, Pakistan.
Giving all that credit to Donald Trump is hilarious, but he had nothing to do with it. It was all Marco Rubio, JD Vance, and it was the combination of the efforts of the United States, Saudi Arabia, and the UK. So
he has secured our own U.S. southern border while we were being invaded by foreign powers. And thirdly, he is brokering a potential settlement with Iran that will prevent a major escalation in the Middle East. And finally, it is very difficult, but I believe they'll get it done, that will finally see an end to the Russian-Ukrainian war.
I'm just going to disregard the enormous lies you just put out there about Russia and Ukraine. Okay. But do you really think leverage negotiations work if you cut off all your leverage and scream at one party in the Oval Office? Don't you think that has just emboldened Russia? Because look at the approach. Putin thinks so much of your glorious president, he can't even be asked to show up. You have elected or help elect somebody who is at best an idiot and at worst is deeply corrupt.
Okay, again, so Trump and Putin had a 2-hour phone call today. You'll acknowledge that's a good thing. The pursuit of peace can sometimes...
Bro, just because this dude is talking does not mean it's a good thing. Come on, bro. Come on. You're too invested into politics to have such a stupid take. Donald Trump has been talking to Putin for weeks, and Putin continuously just does whatever the hell he wants. Just recently, he just had a drone strike and killed a lot of different Ukrainians. Oh, but he had a phone call. Like, what are we talking about? Cool, he had a phone call. Phone call didn't mean jack shit.
Sometimes be a winding road, and it's a lot better than sending hundreds of billions of dollars further into the killing fields of eastern Ukraine, something that tragically both the UK government and the US government has been unnecessarily supporting for a couple.
Yeah, so they should have not sent them money and allowed them to get completely dominated by Russia. That's what they should have done. I get it. I understand.
Of years. President Trump wants to see a brokerage, an ending of this settlement. I pray we can get it. It's very complicated because of the mess that Joe Biden left, which was an active kinetic war with a nuclear power sending American-made missiles into the interior of Russia. So President Trump has already ended a war. He's ended.
I'm gonna allow that kid to respond to that because that was on some peak political bullshit I just heard.
An invasion. He's only 130 days into this. And I believe we do not know. At this point, we are merely speculating, which I think we should not spend our time doing that because eventually one of us will be right. I believe we'll be right. And I believe we'll see an end to this war.
We just talk about 100 billions worth of weapons because you dodged my question on what was going on in the Middle East, where Trump has just signed enormous arms contracts with Saudi Arabia and with Qatar. And I noticed you ignored the fact that this might have had anything to do with the blatant corruption going on through the Trump coin and going on through giving the very competent sons of Donald Trump billions of investment from Saudi Arabia and Qatar. This is something.
He's completely cooking. He's absolutely right. Keep on cooking Charlie Kirk's ass. He ain't going to respond to that.
Something that is directly embroiling Americans into conflict, but is importantly killing many innocent people. Those nations have been known to terrorize innocent civilian populations. So if you're coming to me and you're objecting to America selling weaponry, why are you defending shilling for the Saudis?
Well, hold on. One is selling weaponry, one is purchasing. Secondly, you do know that the biggest purchase that was announced was commercial airliner, 737, $100 billion. We've heard of Qatar Airways. They purchased $100 billion of commercial airways. You are right. There were some weapons contracts. But I guess the question is, would you rather have Saudi Arabia buy weapons from America or China?
I'd rather they not have American weaponry at cut price rates.
See, I disagree.
Let's talk about Qatar for a second.
Okay, fine.
Oh, Why are we sending billions of dollars to Ukraine, man? We can't because they're corrupt. But we can sell it to Saudi Arabia though. Base.
Mentioned Qatar. You've been talking a lot about Hamas and the evils of Hamas. Can I ask you, who's the main funder of Hamas? Our state?
Well, the West actually funds Hamas.
Which state?
Well, Iran funds.
No.
Also,
where are the Hamas leaders?
And also Qatar funds Hamas.
Yes.
It is a combination
So
of
is this a state we
international
should
relief
have a
organizations.
400 million jet with the president of the United States on it?
Hold on. First of all, it was not given to him personally. I understand the optics.
It was 100% given to him. The fuck? What? What are you going to try to argue here? What kind of game are you about to play right now?
Of it, but it was not given to him personally. It was given to the U.S. government, and under that standard.
Nah, he's not being dead ass, bro. The blame was given to Trump. After he's done being president, he's gonna make that his own private jet. Stop being a fucking idiot. Stop being a bot. Come on.
Standard, no U.S. government should ever receive any gifts from any foreign countries whatsoever. It's not given to him personally, and not a violation of the.
Why is he trying to transfer to his personal library?
He is. Oh my God! Keep on cooking, Charlie Kirk's bot ass. He's absolutely doing exactly what this kid is saying.
Actually, okay. Again, he sent out a statement. This is way too in the weeds. If you want to keep on going, we can.
It's not in the weeds at all. You're lying.
Under that fundamental moral principle, then, can you acknowledge, though, that President Trump is getting more done in a less period of time than?
The man didn't address any of the bullshit that not bullshit. He didn't address anything that this kid said. Not a single thing that this kid said that Charlie Kirk addressed.
Any president we've seen, while our prior president did not even know what year he got elected. Do you understand the contrast here?
Yeah, you're a fucking bot and you're just botting and you didn't have any good response to anything he said. So you brought up Joe Biden because you're like, Joe Biden, I need your old wrinkly dick in my mouth because that's all you could do. Because you can't defend Donald Trump because you sound like an idiot. So you just start sucking off Joe Biden. I get it. I understand. I got it.
What aboutism again? I'm not a defender of Biden.
I'm not saying President Trump is far better than the predecessor.
You have to defend the person you spent millions to elect.
I will defend every day of someone who ends an invasion.
That's all you do,
brings down the price of oil, who is revitalizing the American economy, who's brokering peace, who stopped the potential.
Dude's just fucking lying, and he went from dick sucking Joe Biden's old ass to fucking getting railed by Donald Trump. I'm sure. Hey, what is that? I think I see some leather on Charlie Kirk. I'll be honest.
Nuclear war, who is bringing Iran to the table and bringing Russia to the table, someone who does not want armed conflicts with the greatest powers of our time. I will defend that endlessly. What are you defending?
In a fantasy world of your own creation. So it's quite hard to engage
that, but then disprove it.
Let's check on
it has.
In terms of look, with the war in the Middle East, do you think it was a defensible decision to tell the Israelis you wanted Trump Gaza to agree for Israel to invade the Gaza Strip and to continue to murder thousands of innocent children and civilians in a pointless war? Is that in America's interest? Is that in humanity's interest?
Well, first of all, you should know something about Trump. There's something, if you realize with Trump over the last 10 years, he is quite the social media user and uses.
The fuck are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about?
Hyperbolic language at times. But let me ask you, in the conflict of Israel versus Hamas, who's the good guy?
I believe both Hamas and the Israeli government are evil, but I think also
recently Netanyahu has been fucking unhinged. So I'm not defending Israel's government right now, but it's mostly the far right people. But they're the ones who kind of control the government. So
there is no justification.
Are they equally?
There is no justification for the murder and mutilation of thousands of innocent people and children.
Well, let's
the futile.
Let's hear it out.
There is no justification, Mr. Kirk, for invading hospitals, for bombing innocent populations and dragging out a war which is damaging Israel and the West's security.
You've made that point, but
it's not a point; it's a moral truth, isn't it?
Okay, yeah. It was also a moral truth that the war started because 1,300 Jews were killed and 200 were taken hostage. And when you declare war on Israel, expect a firestorm in reaction. Let me finish. I let you talk. Israel, at its holiest day of the calendar year, besides Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah.
See, this kid messed up. He said something kind of bottish a little bit. No shade on him, but he kind of got carried away because he started bringing up shit that Israel kind of had justification for. He was literally in a great position, and Charlie Kirk had no way to respond to anything he was saying. Now that Charlie Kirk has something to respond to, he's starting to get a little puff in his chest. He started rolling back them shoulders and getting some more confidence because he couldn't respond to any of the other stuff he was saying. But this kid fucked up by bringing up some stuff that he could, because Israel only engaged in this because of Hamas. There are certain things that Israel was doing until recently where it's like, yeah, it's terrible, but this is war considering Hamas started it. So, yeah.
Samat Torah, the 50-year anniversary of the Six-Day War. On Shabbat, Hamas invaded Israel, deciding to go recklessly to music concerts, to homes, to kibbutzes, and taking 200 plus hostages. They knew what they were doing. In one of the most cloistered urban environments on the planet, 2 million people live in a place where it's impossible to wage war. Impossible. Where they wear civilian clothing, they violate every tenet of the Geneva Convention, and the IDF, when they do something right, they get no credit. When they do life-saving surgeries of a Gazan child, they get no credit. When they drop leaflets, they get no credit. But when they happen to bomb a place where they are operating their military from, which we now know from third-party verified sources, hundreds of Hamas military operations are in mosques, schools, and hospitals. I'm sorry, the country where they were living in relative peace on October 6th, that all of a sudden we had a war and Hamas started the war. And I don't see people that were really upset about the 2 million Germans that were killed in World War II, civilians. A tragic truth of war is that civilians die. I don't like it and you don't like it. And they brought it upon themselves. The only
Charlie Kirk is not wrong.
Is the leadership of Hamas, not the Israeli government, for fighting this defensive war after they were invaded.
This kid could, like, from my opinion, if the kid focuses, okay, this is what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to adhere to some of the points that Charlie Kirk made, because he's correct, but also distinguish the self-defense to the recent way, not recent as it just happened, recent as in it happened a lot in the last like couple weeks, couple months. Focus on the continuation, and like he made a point about elongating the conflict. Focus on that, as well as agreeing to the retaliation to an extent, not all the way, but to an extent. You'll be able to grab it back. If you don't, Charlie Kirk could end this debate winning. Even though he was getting railroaded before. Or you can just pivot to a different point like Charlie Kirk has been doing the entire time. That works as well.
No defender of the terrible pogrom that was launched against Jews on that day. But the justification for the death of innocents cannot be an infinite cycle of bloodlust. It cannot be killing tens of thousands of innocent civilians with a war with no end in sight, people who were not complicit in those atrocities. It cannot be bombing hospitals which children use. It cannot be bombing hospitals in which...
Hospital point, not as strong, because Hamas does operate out of hospitals a lot. The one that I know for a fact, the one that got really popular, they definitely were operating out of the hospital, but I'm continuing.
Cancer patients are dying and starving in there. The deaths that have been inflicted, nobody knows the true toll, but somewhere between 50 and 100,000 people lie dead under the rubble. And what is left for Gaza except for to continue to suffer under Hamas? Because it turns out Netanyahu's political strategy has not worked. It has entrenched Hamas within the territories. To be a Christian, I would have thought, Mr. Kirk, would never have involved suggesting that the price for an atrocity must be an infinite cycle of bloodlust, that innocent people and the young population must be killed to avenge some kind of providential Christ. How can you call yourself a Christian? Well, you just did.
I want to make sure we get our moral clarity straight before we proceed. No one likes what's happening in Gaza. No one with a heart or a soul or a mind likes when kids die. But you must understand who started the conflict so that you could end it correctly. And until Hamas...
What does that mean, though?
Conditional surrender, of which they are unwilling to do. They could release the hostages and drop their weapons, and their lives would be spared. Instead, they are using children of Gaza as cannon fodder, financed by the Iranian mullahs and dragging the entire world into this conflict. So I don't even know what...
Their lives 100% would not be spared. That's a lie. What? They definitely would not be spared. But I'll let it
Debating
continue.
at this point, other than I believe that Israel, I believe the facts, Israel was unconditionally attacked on October 7th. They're responding in kind. And I would just ask you a very simple moral question. How should Israel have responded?
Not with the blanket carpet bombing of the city, not with bombing hospitals. Of course, some kind of military operation might have been necessary, but not murder on this scale. There is no justification.
The kid is losing me. He had a great start, but then he fell into the trap that Charlie Kirk is sticking on, and he had Charlie Kirk on the rose, but
What is happening? Enormous death toll that is being produced. I really cannot see how you come here and you have the gall to lecture us on Christian morality, and then sit here and justify the murder of thousands of civilians. And is it working, Mr. Kirk? Is Hamas dismantled?
I've never said that.
You just did.
Well, no.
This is your whole
in
thing.
war. These are called casualties of a war.
We're going to need
okay?
to start bringing this
Again,
to close.
I'm not going to justify every military maneuver of a 100,000 person army. Instead, what I will do is I'll be clear that there is a good guy and there is a bad guy. I honestly.
Isn't that the morality of a child?
Well, hold on. It's interesting you say that, because a child who knows that Israel is the good guy, Hamas is bad, has a lot more wisdom than a student like yourself at Cambridge University.
I will be glad that I will not have been somebody who has defended the genocide of the Palestinian people. And I think you will have to reckon one day that you have reckoned with.
Interesting. I want to close on this. So can you tell me what African country is currently ongoing a civil war?
Believe it or not, I know about Sudan.
Okay,
I'm
good.
not an idiot.
How about what Southeast Asian country has an ethnic cleansing going on right now?
Myanmar.
Good. And you have strong opinions on both sides?
Unlike you, I take an effort to be informed about foreign policy and to come to conclusions. You are a culture warrior. I believe when everything is done, Mr. Kirk, people will see you and the people you supported as corrupt, as selling the country out to the lowest bidder, and of doing irreparable damage to a country, I'm sure.
All right, we're done here. The kid started out strong. Charlie Kirk ended the debate. He just lost. He fell into the trap that Charlie Kirk he didn't fall into a trap. He gave Charlie Kirk a window to breathe. And the moment he did that, Charlie Kirk won. So ultimately, though, if you didn't go down this kind of moral quandary in relation to this Israel-Hamas conflict, you would have destroyed Charlie Kirk, and he wouldn't have posted this video. But it is what it is. One more reaction.